Hello, my name is Sophie, and welcome to reading a summer book in summer.
Oh, wow.
Whoa now. I know, I'm getting pretty crazy over here. Really thinking outside the box with this one. Somebody stop me.
Somebody stop her. She's going crazy. She's going mad. What the hell? A summer book in summer? Hold up now, girl. Calm it down. Bring it in.
Whoa. Okay, being serious for a second, I have never been one to read a book depending on the season. I tend to just read whatever takes my fancy, whenever it takes my fancy, you know? But I was thinking, we are in August now, and despite the fact that it feels like we are trapped in a perpetual state of heat wave, autumn is imminent. So, I figured why not make the most of the last bit of summer by reading a book that matches the season? Why not get a little crazy? Come on. And the book that I have chosen for this is Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. A bit on the nose, perhaps, but it certainly fits the brief. Now, this book was on the list that I made earlier in the year, titled The Books That I Will Be Acquiring This Year by Whatever Means Necessary. I did make this into a video. And acquire it I have. Very impressive if I do say so myself. Not only did I acquire it, but I also used a gift voucher to buy it, so I didn't even spend any freaking money on it. Yes. It's basically a free book. On top of both of these things, it's also an Ali Hazelwood book, so I already know that I'm pretty much guaranteed to love it, because I have and do love every Ali Hazelwood book that I have ever read ever. And by reading it, I will be one step closer to completing my goal of reading everything that Ali Hazelwood has ever written. Anyway, let me give you a little bit of information on the book. Problematic Summer Romance is a 416-page contemporary adult romance, and it's also apparently book 2 in the Not in Love series, which I wasn't aware of until I looked it up to make the little blurb section for this video. So, whoops. I have not read the first book in this series, but apparently you can read them as standalones. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll just read Not in Love some other time. Sorry, girl. I have this one now, and I'm going to read it. Anyway, on to our little bit of information. The main characters in this book are Maya and Connor. Connor is Maya's brother's bestie, and he is also 15 years older than her. Woo! Bit of an age gap going on there. I see the problematic in Problematic Summer Romance is making an appearance. Okay. However, this rather extreme age gap does not stop her from having a fat crush on him.
Ooh.
Connor critically does seem to hate her guts and want absolutely nothing to do with her, which is unfortunate for her and her crush. And this supposed hatred continues until the two of them get stuck in a villa together while attending her brother's funeral. No, wedding. Wow. I just heavily shifted the plot there. Let me reiterate. This supposed hatred continues until the two of them get stuck in a villa together while attending her brother's wedding. Not funeral. And it begins to feel like maybe Connor doesn't hate her after all. Maybe he wants to smash. Ha! Sam, oh my goodness. I'm so excited to consume this book. Ali Hazelwood is one of my favourite authors of all time, so I am always hyped to read a book of hers that I haven't already read, and I am very excited to jump into this book. Before I do though, I want to know what your favourite summer book is, because I need some recommendations to prepare for next year. So, yeah, let me know what your favourite summer romance is. Or just summer book in general. I reckon that's enough yapping. Let's get into it.
His girlfriend? I wasn't expecting this.
Sophie. Come on, hop on, little fella. Now hop off, if you don't mind. Oh my god. Screw this Connor guy. She needs to get with his girlfriend. I need a swing break. Come on. He's Irish. She's in love with him. Uh-oh, she's been in love with him. Uh-oh. Hello, good morning. It is the next day. I apologise for my sorry looking state, but I did stay up well into the night reading this bad boy. I'm on page 100 now, and let me tell you, as expected, I am obsessed. I haven't read an Ali Hazelwood book in a while, and I forgot how well she writes the banter and the chemistry between all the characters, so I am loving just how easily it reads. The writing just flows so nicely. It's really satisfying. I've never found an Ali Hazelwood book difficult to read, despite the fact that there are some very, very big words in these books. Very big words. I am super invested already. I also love the fact that it jumps between the present and the past. Not too far in the past, mind you. She's still an adult. In terms of the whole plot line and the age gap situation, it is certainly problematic. Because obviously the 15-year age gap is quite a big thing. And it's a tricky subject to navigate, especially considering the fact that Connor had a much bigger role in Maya's life when she was younger than I originally thought he would have had. So that's an interesting thing to wrap one's head around. I was expecting him to just be like,
oh yeah, he comes around for dinner sometimes and I don't really know him. I'm 12.
You know, and then, oh, and now I've seen him when I'm 20, but that is not the case. He was a lot more involved than that. So that certainly adds a whole nother layer of problematic to the problematic part of the summer romance. But I trust Ali Hazelwood to handle this in a, mature and sensible way. Yeah, that's basically everything I have to say. I'm going to go and get ready to go on a picnic with my partner, and I think we're also going to read our books. He's got really into this comic series called Chainsaw Man, so I think he's going to bring that. And I'm obviously going to bring this bad boy, try and crack through some more. I'm feeling summery, I'm feeling flirty, I'm feeling whimsical. So let's continue. Also, do you like my shirt? It has my dog on it. Hello, time for a bit of an update. I am currently on page 260 of 402, so we are making swift progress, a bit over halfway now, if you can see. I find Ali Hazelwood books so easily digestible, and if I had time, I do believe that I could read the whole thing in one sitting, no breaks, no pauses, just boom, consumed, In terms of my feelings about the plot, I am very, very invested in both of the characters. Of course, I'm in love with Connor. Come on. There's a cute dog. We're in a gorgeous setting. The people are hilarious. Blah, blah, blah. It is certainly living up to its namesake of problematic, though. And I do feel that it's trying to be like as problematic as possible without crossing that line into creepy, And I'm kind of having mixed feelings about it. Now, before I get into this little spiel that I'm about to give you, I do want to just preface it by saying that I know I'm probably looking too deep into this, and I know I'm definitely going to be giving the too woke friend, but there are a couple of things about this book that haven't quite been sitting right with me, that I've got to, and they've given me a little bit of an icky feeling in my stomach. So I thought that I would mention them just as something to consider before reading the book. And just so everyone knows, it is very difficult for me to critique anything that Ali Hazelwood. Just lost my bookmark. And just so everyone knows, it is very, very difficult for me to criticize anything that Ali Hazelwood says or does, because as I said at the beginning of this video, I do love everything that Ali Hazelwood has ever written that I have read so far. So this has been the first of Ali Hazelwood's books that I have not been like 100% sold on since page 1. So yeah, this isn't an easy discussion to have. First up, Connor is positioned as being part of the friend group that practically raised Maya from like the age of 12. But supposedly his only role was financial. He just paid for anything that she needed, and that was it. He wasn't interested in her. He didn't have anything to do with her, really. He just was like the cash cow, And this is what I mean when I say that the book is trying to really, really toe the line between problematic and creepy. Because rather than saying, oh, he was her brother's best friend, but he just came around for dinner a couple of times a week, or she didn't see him at all. It was just, whatever. He's positioned more as one of the people who helped to raise her, except only in a financial sense. So she was around him a lot as a child, but not really. He was part of the friendship group that raised her as a child, but he just gave her money. He wasn't like emotionally involved in her childhood. And then they didn't see each other for years because she moved to a different country to go to university. And then when they did meet each other again, she was an adult. So it's fine. But then when they do meet again, Maya's all like, oh yeah, I remember that one time when I was 15 and he drove me to and from school for a week because her brother was away. And I'm like, oh, so he was involved in her life. So it's this weird thing of like, he was involved, but he wasn't involved. And that complicates things because obviously she was a child then. We're erring certainly on the side of creepy in terms of that, let me tell you, okay? So that did make me feel a little bit, wow. And don't get me wrong, Ali Hazelwood is really trying to cover all of her bases here. We're really trying to hammer home that Connor is not a creep, okay? She makes it very clear that he was more financial support than anything else when she was younger. She just thought that he was some old guy who was friends with her brother, and she didn't want anything to do with him when she was younger. She was like, ew, an old man. And then when she sees him again when she's older, she's like, oh, actually, he's not that much older than me, and he's kind of hot as well. But when she was younger, she never had a crush on him. There was nothing like that. She also makes it very clear that they didn't see each other for years when Maya went to university. And then when they did see each other again, she was an adult. And obviously, Connor never wanted anything to do with her when she was little. He was like,
ooh, a child, get that away from me. What the hell is that?
And he supposedly had so little to do with her that when she contacted him again at the age of 20, he thought she was still 13, despite the fact that a couple of years before, he had been invited to her high school graduation. He had not attended. Just so everyone knows, he did not attend.
Wow.
And I do appreciate these boundaries and these things that Ali Hazelwood is making sure to tell us. But there are just some things that I was like, ooh. Now, this isn't helped by the fact that the age gap is brought up constantly, like every single freaking page. And Connor is so very uncomfortable about it. This is most likely because his dad did marry someone who was a couple of months younger than Connor, which is rough. Let me tell you, that is uncomfortable. So clearly he's got his own trauma that is making him very hesitant about pursuing a relationship with someone that much younger. I get it, right? But in my mind, if you have that many problems with dating someone that much younger than you, if you have that many moral hang-ups about it, maybe you just don't need to date them. Maybe you guys just aren't meant to be, okay? This does not matter though, because they are true loves, and they of course will end up together. What do I know? The other issue that I keep running into is the fact that Maya is young, and she is written young, and she acts young, and she is treated as being very young by everyone else, despite being an adult, and despite constantly complaining that Connor coddles her all of the time and treats her like a child. Like, when she gets to the wedding destination, one of Connor's friends literally says, "Hey kid," and she has no problem with that. She has no problem with the rest of her brother's friendship group treating her as a child, basically, because she doesn't want to bang him. But she is constantly complaining about the fact that Connor treats her like a child, and that he coddles her and tries to make her decisions for her. And the treatment that Maya gets from her brother's friends does make sense, considering her history. But it does make the age gap feel even larger. The fact that she is kind of constantly being treated like a child by everyone, the way that they talk to her and act around her, makes it feel like she's younger than she is. As an example, they're all having dinner, and she's playing with this, like, 2-year-old kid and the dog as well. And while she's doing this, she overhears all of her brother's friends saying, and I quote, "Kind of endearing that the person Maya has the most in common with is a not quite 2-year-old. And when someone else says, "She's so good with kids," Connor literally says, "She was one most recently." Which is like, okay, if we're still thinking of her in that way, we definitely don't need to be dating her. Right? Right, Connor? We don't. I'm sorry. You need to start thinking of her like she is an adult before you can ever consider dating her. Come on now. Yeah, when he said that, it really gave me a bit of a shiver down my spine, I'm not gonna lie to you. The thing is, though, is it's not just how other people are speaking about Maya, it's also how Maya speaks about herself that makes me feel like she is a lot younger than she actually is. For example, I'm gonna give you a quote that she says just after her and Connor get a little bit freaky. Not a lot freaky, just a little bit, okay? She says, and I quote, "And he carries me to the bed like the exhausted girl I am," which genuinely, in my mind, puts the image of, like, a child being carried to bed by her father because she's tired. You know? And obviously that's a very weird image to have in one's head, especially after what the two of them just did, and that made me feel real icky. I didn't like that at all. And the language there felt very intentional. Especially when the whole book is basically Maya saying to Connor, "Look, Connor, look, I'm an adult. Stop treating me like a child. Look, here's my drawer of sex toys." And yes, she does do that.
Wow.
That is something that actually happens in the book. So the language that's being used in that sentence specifically does make me feel a little bit like, whoa. I don't think we needed to say it like that. There were other ways of describing that scene other than "he carries me to bed like the exhausted girl that I am." It just, I just didn't like it. I don't know. And there are these little quotes throughout, and these little things that Maya's doing, and little ways that she's acting, that I'm like, you feel even younger than you actually are, which makes the age gap feel worse. Anyway, as I said before, I am very aware that I'm probably making a much bigger deal out of this whole thing than needs to be made. I'm also very aware that I knew what I was getting myself into, because the whole main conflict of this book was the age gap. I just think, in my head, I was thinking it was going to be handled a bit differently than it has been. It hasn't been quite the reading experience that I was expecting. It's definitely not my favourite Ali Hazelwood book. However, I do still have 142 pages left in the book, so I might end up taking back everything that I've just said. Who knows? I just wanted to kind of take you through my thought process as I'm reading the book, because I know that I'm very, very prone to, when the ending is happy, being like, oh my god, it was great and I loved it, and then I forget all of the other problems that I had with it throughout. So it's nice to kind of keep a track as I'm going of all of the thoughts that I'm having while I'm reading it, so that I can remember personally for my end review, rather than just being blinded by the happy ending, because I'm sure we will get a happy ending. And if you've read it, I would like to know what you thought in terms of all the age gap stuff. Like, where were you at this point in the book? What were you thinking? Because currently I'm thinking you guys are kind of weird.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, that's enough. Let's freaking get back into it.
Just kissed her. He wants to get married. We just kissed 2 pages ago. Hello?
We finished it! Yes! Applause, applause. Oh my gosh. My sandwich chicken's falling on me. Bro, stay in your personal space bubble. Come on. And listen, of course I loved the ending. Of course. I will say, however, for anyone wondering, all of the issues that I mentioned earlier that I was having with the book, still very much the case. Still very much the case. Nothing really changed in terms of the way that Maya was spoken about and to and was speaking. It was all still quite infantilizing, really. So unfortunately, I can't say that there was like some big, wow, now everything is fine and it all makes sense and none of that matters anymore. Yippee! Unfortunately, no, that did not happen. And on top of that, we also had a very, very sudden resolution to what had been a years-long conflict between the two love interests. Everything was solved overnight. Literally, even though nothing had actually changed, you know? It was like a very, like, snap, cool, yay! We're in love! Which was obviously rather unbelievable, considering the fact that this conflict had been going on for years. Literally years. If it was that simple, why didn't we come to this conclusion earlier? Really? Really, guys? We couldn't have put our heads together and figured that one out a bit sooner. That's fine, whatever. Something else that I noticed, which wasn't a bad thing necessarily, was that there was a lot less spice in this book than I was thinking there was going to be. We did get a bit at the end, but aside from a couple of encounters in like the middle section of the book, there really wasn't that much. Which again, not a bad thing. It's just something to note if you're going into this thinking it's going to be like a spicy romance summery vibe. It's certainly flirty, it's certainly fun, it's certainly a bit sexy, but I wouldn't say it's like spicy. You know? It's just spicy. I do, however, think that the lack of spice made it rather jarring when we went from, I have to actually get the Irish accent. Ireland. No, Maya. No, Maya. You're too young to make your own decisions. I am so sorry to the Irish people. And I'm going to make it worse because now I'm going to do the other bit. I'm going to put a... I can't do it. No. Gather your strength. Ireland. I'm going to put a baby in you. Oh, brother. How was that? Does everyone feel immersed in the book? He did, in fact, say the words, put a baby in you. Goodness me. So yeah, rather jarring. We really went from one extreme to the other there. Obviously, aside from that one sentence, goodness me, the spice that we did get was obviously brilliant. Come on. Ali Hazelwood is almost as good at writing spice as she is at writing men who are so filled with yearning they would jump off a cliff if their female main character asked them to. And let me tell you, Connor for sure fitted that brief. In terms of characters, I found them all very likeable, and Ali Hazelwood always does an amazing job of creating these dynamics between the characters, and the interactions that everyone has are always so satisfying and like smooth to read. It's like really smooth reading, like all the dialogue and stuff. She is an amazing writer, so it is always a pleasure to read her characters. I did really like Maya, although, as previously stated, I did find her a tad immature, and I felt very similarly about Connor. So, maybe they were well suited after all. Age gap be damned. But I was genuinely rooting for them to work it out, if only so that they would stop yapping about their freaking age gap. Which I can't imagine is an issue that will just disappear, considering the fact that it was the main problem the entire book, as stated in the blurb. That does seem to have been the case, though. So, good for them! Good for them! Who am I to say what they can and can't do? If I could just magically disappear my problems, I would. So, really, I can't be that mad that they've decided to do that with theirs. Overall, I would say it was a pretty good book. It was fun, it was flirty, it was definitely summery, in a gorgeous setting. There were just a couple of bits, obviously, with how the age gap was handled that I felt a little bit icky about. And the resolution of the book felt like a little bit too sudden and instantaneous to be actually believable, which did take away from my enjoyment of the book overall. So unfortunately, I do think that this is my least favourite of all of the Ali Hazelwood books that I've read so far, by a pretty high margin, but that is because she has set the bar so high with all of her other books. So really, this is just a compliment to our girl Ali, because I go into every one of her books, as I said at the beginning of this video, just anticipating that I will love it. I am bummed that I didn't love this, because I did think it was a sure thing, and I certainly haven't come away from it feeling like the sense of upliftedness and trust and hope in love, as I normally do. But that does not diminish her other work to me, you know? I still think that all of the other books that I've read that I loved were incredible. One book that I wasn't the biggest fan of doesn't mean that I'm not an Ali Hazelwood fan. I still love her down. Come on. Come on now, please. Anyway, we did it! We literally read a summer book in freaking summer. Who is feeling summery right now? This gal. We achieved what we came to achieve. We consumed the summary book. And now I'm ready to get back to my season inappropriate books. Okay? I am just at the beginning of my reread of A Court of Thorns and Roses, and let me tell you, I am not excited at the prospect of spending this entire book with freaking tampon. Alright, that's enough of all of this. I'm gonna leave the video here. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see whether or not I managed to ever read another season appropriate book again, maybe subscribe. Maybe subscribe, because you might live to see the day. Who's to say? I don't know, but I would appreciate it if you did. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.